Pythor is one of Ninjago's first ever villains, seeing him all the way in Season 1 and as recently as Crystallize itself. Unfortunately, we haven't seen him in Dragon's Rising, but maybe one day, who truly knows. But because of that, and because of the vast array of minifigures that Ninjago does have, Pythor has had a fair few additions when it does come to the Ninjago roster. All of them are representations of Pythor over the course of the years, and all of them do serve different purposes in their overall execution. But the begging question is, of the 5 minifigures that he does have, which is the best in terms of value, which is the best representation of Pythor? What is the best one for a Ninjago collector if they didn't just want to buy all of them? Because obviously if you wanted to get all of them, you would just get all of them. There's not really much I can add to that conversation for you. So in similar vein to a video I uploaded recently, being every single Harumi minifigure, today we're going to take a look at all 5 of the Pythor minifigures. Take a look at what they do, what they represent, and whether or not they're worth it. Are they worth getting on a Bricklink or any other site for a Ninjago collector? Or should you just skip them? I have got some opinions, because we do have to look through prices, representation, the whole likes. So let's do it, and let me not waste any more of your time, and let's look at the evolution of Pythor. And here are all 5 of them. Like I said, all of them representing Pythor in a very different way. All of them looking fairly unique from one another as well. But taking on a general palette and a general scheme in accordance with each other, they do all look absolutely fantastic with each other. If there's anything to take away, all of these Pythors are absolutely amazing. But of course, looking at them individually is definitely going to be a whole lot more interesting here. So let's take a look in chronological order of their release. Starting off with the original OG Pythor. This one came out exclusively to one set in the 2012 wave, and is a fantastic one-to-one representation for the most part of that original Pythor. I think he does look absolutely fantastic, and definitely does accomplish that original look. That deep purple along with the black is absolutely fantastic. The only thing that is not really accurate is the eyes being the wrong colour, but I do think that is completely fine. Another thing definitely worth noting that all of these Pythor minifigures do have is the mouth. The mouth is very much wide open, and I do wish we did have a version at the very least that was closed. I'm not a personal fan of it, but because it is on all of them, what can you really do? It doesn't affect the minifigure on an overall scale, and it definitely does make him look even more intimidating. And honestly, the purple version definitely does do this quite well. I love this for an original outing, and it definitely does look great. So in terms of a first time instance of a Pythor minifigure, this one definitely did nail it. It is definitely on one of the more expensive sides in comparison to the rest, but I don't think that is bad whatsoever. And I do think just it is a very nice looking one, and definitely one that I am glad to have. So I do think, like I said, in terms of the first outing, we did very well here. This is a cool Pythor, and I was very much happy to see what was going to come next. I really wasn't expecting what was going to be though. Because that next one was the Tournament of Elements version of Pythor, and this one actually had a massive change up. Because during the show he became bleached, I believe it was called, he actually did become an overall white, with the purple aspects and the red aspects to go along with it. And I do think it does look amazing. I think this Pythor does look fantastic, and it's definitely the most common times that we see him in this design. I really like this one, and definitely is fun to see. He was also exclusive to a set, being the DBX from that Tournament of Elements wave, so he was definitely one of the more difficult ones to get, but that was completely fine. This one definitely does earn a very special place to me, and I do think it is just down to the fact that I really like how it looks. It is very similar to the original purple one, but like I said, just mainly a colour flip, but I do just think it works better in this way. So I do think this was a better input when it did come to Pythor in comparison to the old one. No diss on that purple one, but I just think this one did do things better. And this one is actually cheaper as well, so it's definitely got a plus in that regard as well. But for a second Pythor, it really did work, and it's definitely one of the main ones you should have in an overall Pythor collection. But more on whether or not it's the overall recommendation later on. But let's go on to the next one, because it didn't stop there. The next Pythor up came from 2016, and it was the Day of the Departed variant, taking on a very similar design aesthetic to the Tournament of Elements one. This one had the same head for example, but the main difference being that he was now in his own robe. And I do think, whilst it does make the design and detailing a lot more simpler and gets rid of that amazing looking purple, this one is definitely a personal favourite of mine, possibly just because of how much I do enjoy Day of the Departed along with Pythor's role in it. I will say this is definitely the Pythor that I do think looks best with other characters, as much as I do think, for example, the original purple one is at its best with the rest of the Serpentine. I just think this Pythor blends in so well with the rest of the Day of the Departed villains. He really does just have that presence that does just simply work. I think this one is just honestly a fantastic one to get, and coming in the Samurai X Cave Chaos, which was a fantastic set, was definitely just the icing on the cake. So again, just another amazing looking Pythor. A Pythor minifigure definitely worthy of the name. Honestly, I wish we got to see this design more within the show itself, because it was only actually exclusive in terms of the TV show to Day of the Departed. The next time we saw him, he actually went back to the Tournament of Elements design, which is fine, but definitely one that I do wish we just got more of. But still, an amazing Pythor nonetheless. But this is where we then get into the fourth Pythor, which is going to be the Legacy variant. This one went back to the purple colour scheme to represent Pythor from that time, and did make some design differences, but honestly kind of for the better. I really like this Pythor design. We got more of a white on it, we got the return of the black arms, but we also got this really nice looking jeweled crystal in the centre of his torso, really making him look like the Snake King. I definitely do think it was a detail that was very worth it. The scales, just along with how nice he looks, really did just work here for me. I really do think this was just a fantastic one to get, and was actually one of the very few instances where a Pythor was actually not exclusive to a singular set. This one actually came out in two sets, one of them being Jay's Lightning Mech, and the other one being the Ultra Dragon. So this Pythor was actually much easier to have, and by proxy is actually the cheapest Pythor to this very day. Very affordable one to actually get. So I do think with that in mind, this Pythor is possibly one of the best of the bunch, but more on that in comparison to the original purple one later on. I do just think though, this is a very nice Pythor and was definitely a welcomed addition when it did come to Legacy. It is a shame we didn't get any of the other Serpentine generals in the Legacy sets, because I would have loved to have gotten a Legacy version of Scales at the minimum, but that's completely fine. Besides that, it's just another great Pythor to have amongst the rest of them. But we are now into the final Pythor of the lot, which is the Crystallized Pythor, and this one definitely did have a big change up. We got to see a similar-ish looking head, just with a different looking crystal on his forehead, but the main thing we got here was a new torso, we got shoulder armor which was definitely new, and we got a much more armored looking tail. This Pythor looks so different, but amazing at the same time. His official name is General Pythor for a very particular reason. Even though this Pythor is just, well, by all accounts reusing the same Crystal Council torso and shoulders, it really does just work on him. It does feel like a combination of both his purple aesthetic and also the white aesthetic. I really do think there's something special here. It is specific to Crystallized, but if you are having a Crystallized display, it is amazing. It was exclusive, which is a shame, in the Samurai X Mech set, but I do still think regardless of that, it was an amazing addition. So in terms of the last entry as of 2026 for Pythor, this one just did it so well. Like I said, I maintain that if you do want a general looking Pythor, I don't know if this is it because it does feel specific, but it still is fantastic regardless. Very fun, very nice to look at, definitely does stand out amongst the rest of the Pythors, and definitely does just earn its own spot. Honestly, this just makes me hope we get more Pythors for here to come, but who truly knows? With all of the Pythors now looked at, it does go to the ultimate begging question, which is just simply put, which Pythor is actually worth it if you want a singular representation of him in your Ninjago collection? Obviously, if you're getting all of them, you're getting all of them, and you won't be disappointed. But in terms of which Pythor to get, you could look at maybe the expensive ones like the two you see before you. OG and Day of the Departed Pythor are the most expensive of the lot by a fair margin. They're great, but what if you don't want to spend that amount? Or maybe instead you want to take a look at one of the cheaper Pythor minifigures for your collection. In that case, you would actually be taking a look at either the Legacy or the crystallized version of Pythor. Now both of these I've given a lot of praise to, and both of them are definitely fantastic. In particular that Legacy one. I do think just on an overall scale, if you do want a purple Pythor, the Legacy is the go-to. Being the cheapest and also just being one that does look fantastic, I really do think there's no competition there. But what if there's something more? But that brings me on to my personal recommendation in terms of Pythor minifigures, and that is going to be the Tournament of Elements variant. This is the one that we've seen the most in the show, and is the middle point in terms of price point. But honestly, if you bide your time and wait, you can get this one for a very decent price, because I've seen it myself. So I will say, I do just think this is the best Pythor minifigure on an overall, and definitely the best representation of him. But of course, that is my opinion, and that is why I do want to know yours now. Because on an overall scale, this is a fantastic lineup of minifigures, and I think all of the Pythors have definitely earned their place. And if you do want to go out your way and get all of them, you most definitely won't be disappointed. But I would love to know, which Pythors do you own? Which do you want to own? Do you want all of them, or is it a character you're not interested in getting in minifigure form? I think it's definitely a good character to have, but I would love to see the opposite perspective, because that's always the most interesting thing for me to actually see. But besides that, thank you very much for watching the video, and I do hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider subscribing. I love discussing Ninjago with more people, and if you do want to support the channel any further, which you do not have to, you could always become a channel member and join the legends that you see on screen. Each of you are absolute legends, and your support means the absolute world to me, and I truly cannot thank you enough. But besides that, like I said, thank you very much for watching, and this video took a long time to film because I've currently got hiccups. This was honestly really annoying. But yeah, thank you guys, take care. Okay, bye!